Hello, and welcome to another episode of Iceademia's Artist Spotlight. I'm your host, Johannes Ice Quillitz, and today we'll be exploring the life and work of self-described disabled dancer and choreographer Dwayne Scheuneman. Dwayne broke his neck back in 1995, diving into a swimming pool in Buffalo, New York, changing the trajectory of his life forever. 7 years later, he saw a small ad at the Tampa VA hospital offering dance classes for people in wheelchairs, which he ended up taking for 3 years. Since that fateful day, Dwayne has founded his own company, Revolutions Dance, worked with Axis Dance Company, one of the leading physically integrated dance companies on the planet, and has performed throughout the States and around the world in places like Palestine, Russia, 3 times, China, Italy, London, and Poland. We met in 2014 while he was busy filming the documentary Life After Life at the Revolution studio in Tampa. Dwayne hired me to provide live hand drumming to accompany his dancers for that gig. It was a blast, and I was instantly taken by what an amazing talent and individual he was. 5 years later, in 2019, Life After Life has been accepted into film festivals around the country and in Canada, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens with that. Now, here we are in 2020. No comment. And it is my pleasure to introduce you to my friend and fellow artist, Dwayne Scheuneman. Hello, Dwayne. How's it going?
Hey, it's going well, man. Thank you so much for having me here, man. I'm so excited.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm excited too. Wow. So go ahead and why don't we just mention this first because this is kind of a new thing for me and probably for a lot of people. What is the physically integrated dance genre?
Okay, so the term physically integrated dance kind of originated, and forgive me for some of my friends out there who are the founders of this movement and everything who are going to correct some small details I might have wrong. Believe me, I'll get it when they see it. I'll be getting some emails, but that's okay. They all they'll be okay. So I don't know when, late 80s, early 90s, some different groups, dance was happening. And there were some people with disabilities that wanted to start dancing, got involved in dance. And some professional dance companies began to emerge around the world with people with disabilities. And so the term they began using the term physically integrated, meaning people of all different physical abilities were now working together. So they were integrated in the same dance company. Prior to that, things were always separate. Disabled people over here, non-disabled over there. Dance companies began to, integrate that. And so they call it physically integrated.
That makes sense.
Another term that's been used is mixed ability.
Okay.
That kind of is sort of goes all around. And do you want me to go on with?
And inclusive too, right? Inclusive is
Yeah,
another?
yeah. Inclusive dance is so mixed ability and integrated were kind of being used interchangeably. But then inclusive is a more recent term. And I don't know if like anyone said this is inclusive and this is physically integrated. But what you'll notice is the companies are usually
No.
usually, yeah, exactly. When the term inclusive began, when companies and classes and studios began including people beyond just physical disabilities. So when they started, it was almost the second movement that happened. Like, why is dance only for people with physical disabilities? Why don't we start getting some Down syndrome and autism and learning disabilities and deaf? And so when they started including all that, they call that inclusive dance. And then there are some companies who work only with physically disabled, so they maintain the title of physically integrated dance. And then inclusive dance is what I just described.
Nice. And so you are more or less inclusive dance. That's your genre?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, we call Revolutions Dance inclusive because our classes and everything are open to anyone with, all varieties of disability. And our professional performing company is as well. We're kind of small. I haven't really found anyone with a other than a physical disability interested yet coming to some of the stuff we have, but I'm wide open for it. I would love it. Well, I shouldn't say that. We had a deaf dancer for a while. Yeah, we had a deaf dancer for 2 years.
Right on. So there you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
So I know you have some big plans kind of brewing in the background right now, right? You're kind of getting ready for a reboot. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, man, I would be happy to, man. Thanks. Thank
Yeah.
you. Um, so, I got back from, I had Revolutions. I'll give you the quick. I have Revolutions Dance. I was here doing it in Florida. I took off and went to California for 4 years. And then Revolutions Dance, we kept our children's program, but our professional performing company kind of got a little, it slowed down. I would say it stopped because we were still doing some international stuff from time to time. I spent 4 years, but then I came back to Florida. And when I came back, I'll tell you, I wasn't sure. I was 50 years old, and I was just got done with a lot of touring for 4 years around the world and around the country. And I came back to Florida, and I really thought, like, I'm gonna lie low, man. I don't know if I'm gonna start Revolutions up again. I'm not gonna let anyone know I'm back. And then I just started getting, and that was January of 2019. And then I just started getting phone call after phone call, and for the whole next year, from January to January, I was in Poland and London and Miami and Colorado and Orlando, and I performed with Diablo Dance here in Tampa, and just a lot of people kept calling me. So then, I started thinking, okay, maybe this is time. Maybe I need to do something with Revolutions Dance. And I started thinking, like, do I want to do this? Now I'm 51. I'm going to be 52, and I decided if I'm going to do it, then I'm just going to go for it big time, right? So I was like, I have to get the dancers together again because, they sort of, after the 4 years I was gone, sort of disbanded, redo the website, social media. And so I'm working on all that. And then COVID came along, this virus situation came along. And in a way, for where I was at, it was like almost perfect timing because everything stopped anyway. So I am sort of replanting, transplanting Revolutions as far as the roots go, right? I'm got some of the old soil. I'm put some new soil in there and kind of getting that all ready. And when we're going to come blasting out of this COVID situation, man, with a lot of movement and love and kindness and joy to kind of try and just warm this earth back up. So that's my plan.
Love it. I love the analogy of the transplanting it too, and the new soil and everything. That actually really makes a lot of sense to me. And I kind of find myself in a similar situation where I'm kind of rebooting everything I'm doing too. And this has given me a little time to contemplate, figure it out, work on content, learn a lot of new skills. So I guess that's the silver lining, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Got to take it where you can find it, Roman, right?
Right.
Crazy. So I mentioned briefly about your diving accident, and that was kind of the beginning of your whole journey into art and dancing, because you were always an athlete though, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I was certainly was an athlete. Yeah, and I lived in Buffalo, New York before I broke my neck, and was like I worked for UPS, labor guy, watched football. I mean, no one would have ever, if you would have said that when I was in Buffalo, working for UPS, watching football on Sunday with my buddies, drinking beer and eating chicken wings, and you just said, listen, in about 20 years from now, you're going to be this world traveling, preschool teaching, wheelchair using dancer. All my friends would have been like, did you put some acid in this beer, man? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it was, it was. And then I broke my neck and I just started on this journey. It just took me this way and that way. And I just kind of followed what came along. And this is where it ended up.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So you founded Revolutions in what year again?
2005.
2005. And you had mentioned your girlfriend and partner at the time, Amy.
Yeah. Amy and we met. I was dancing with someone else at the time when I first started dancing for a few years, and Amy danced there. And then when I ended up leaving to start Revolutions Dance, she came along with me and helped me get it started and was with me for the beginning, several years of getting Revolutions started. She eventually went off to she's a big PhD doctor in geology now, saving the planet up in Baltimore, Maryland.
Nice.
But yeah, she started with me in the beginning and really helped get everything going.
Well, you made a point to mention her twice, and so I didn't want to completely ignore her part in this story. At first, I was planning, Amy. I'm sorry. Forgive me if you see this, but we decided to go with it because it's important. And I understand when you're first starting your business, especially in the field that ends up taking your life over, really. It's important who you started that with and who was there with you at the beginning, right? Because they're not always there the whole time, and that's normal.
Yeah, for sure.
So another big thing that was kind of interesting, and I'm going to let you kind of take it wherever you want, and we'll look at some of these photos that you provided with me, which are just amazing, so people can get a really good idea of what it is that what dance in a wheelchair can look like. Is you did one of your first big shows was for Ruth Eckerd Hall.
Yeah, that was yep, our first show that we produced, as Revolutions Dance. Yep.
Awesome. I mean, I remember as a kid, we would go to Ruth Eckerd Hall in elementary school to see like the Nutcracker and to see um, I forget the name of the troupe, but they were like acrobats and all sorts of crazy cool stuff. So I mean, that's a really and John Williams, classical guitarist. I mean, so that's a really kind of a ritzy gig, especially in Pinellas Hillsborough area.
Yeah, yeah, yep. We were super honored. Yeah, I chased them down. It's kind of funny. Uh, yeah, Amy was with me at the time, and she was just it was kind of funny because I would be bugging her every day, like, I need some pictures, I need some posters. She did all that kind of work for me, would give me some stuff, and I just kept going up to Ruth Eckerd Hall and tried to find out who the people were there, and I would leave information for them with the security guard, like probably twice a week for a while, like just different stuff. If we were going to visit a school, I would just leave a piece of paper because it's pre big time email, maybe some email is happening, but
Right.
so I
Just
would
the beginning.
yeah, I would leave stuff there with them and say, we're at this school. And the security guard would see me come in and I could see the look on her eyes, like, here's this guy again. Yes, exactly. But I kept bugging them. And then they sent someone out to see something we were doing at an assembly we had put together for a school. And they really appreciated what we were doing. And then that just began a relationship that led to our first performance.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wish I could have seen that because I just love that venue. I love going to see concerts there. Oh, I was thinking the Flying Karamazov Brothers. Those are the
Oh,
acrobats. Are you familiar with those guys?
I haven't heard of those guys, man.
Google that, guys. Google the
I'm
Flying Karamazov
gonna
Brothers.
Google that.
Well, let me do this. Let me pull up some of these photos and we can talk about that. In fact, I have a little surprise for you. So let me get my Zoom skills going here. Stand by, everyone. This is going to be exciting.
Gonna be.
All right. So, actually, I think I want this. Well, I didn't change my screen over. How unprofessional. All right. So, this is how we do it, guys. We put it into Google Docs. All right.
Yeah,
Do you recognize this picture? Are you seeing the pictures?
I'm not seeing a picture. I see
There
it.
you are.
It's coming.
It's coming.
And
It's happening. I see you flickering into my screen as well. There you are.
okay.
Is that working now?
Yes.
So I took this picture. And where did I take this picture?
You took it at the studio when you came out to do the drumming for us. At Taproot was the name of the studio we were using at the time.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Do you still have this picture?
I don't have it, man.
Oh, that's cool. So it actually is kind of like a little blast from the past for you.
Yeah. Yeah, still have
Woo!
to get it to me, man.
Well, it's interesting because, as I was preparing for this interview and stuff, of course, I was mindful of when we first met. And
Right.
there was just this little thing in the back of my head going, hey, there was a thing. There's something about that day. You should remember. Hey, listen, and I'm like, what? And then I remembered, oh, yeah, I posted on Facebook a picture of this, like, kind of motivational poster painting picture kind of thing that was up there. And I went through like 6 years of Facebook pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 6 years since all this stuff has happened. But I finally found it, and I thought it would be a nice way to kind of start off the pictures because, yeah, it really touched me that day, right? Like, this is just a really, like, positive and down-to-earth way to put, the whole artist's philosophy of living.
I love it. I love it. Yes. Okay, good start, man. Good start.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got to see that. All right, now let's see if I can get this to scroll down without too much problems. So I like this picture a lot. This seems to be maybe a younger Dwayne from the hair, I'm guessing. When was this taken? Are you seeing this okay? Are we having technical difficulties in Zoom? I don't believe it. That must be
Oh,
possible. There you are.
you're frozen. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that exactly. We'll just have to keep going. Do you see the photo now?
I see it. I saw the photo the whole time. Um, it might be. We're having pretty stormy weather out here today.
Oh, that's okay. We'll just roll with it. People are cool and
Oh,
understanding.
yeah.
So I love this picture of you with your hand extended like that. And is there? I was thinking that this might be from a while ago. When was this taken? Do you remember?
Dude, this is like probably one of the very, yeah, that's the beginning, man. That is 2002 or three. I think that's oh, you know what? Sometimes I can tell by looking at the wheelchair, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's 2002 or three or four. That's three or four before I started Revolutions Dance. That's, yeah, in the studio at USF.
Good old USF. You know that makes me wonder about a question I want to ask you. Have you ever broken a chair in during performance?
No, I've never broken a chair. No, the chairs are made. I get some pretty solid chairs. I have broken wheelchairs actually um, outside of the studio. I've cracked some frames. Uh, I lost a tire once. Yeah, I lost a tire once. One time I lost a wheel. One time I lost a wheel, and I had to crawl around. Yeah.
What kind of a terrible person laughs when someone says they lost a tire on their wheelchair? That's
Well,
me. I'm that terrible person. Oh, that's funny though. All right, cool. Let's carry on, my wayward son. Okay, so here we go. Here's some of the stuff that yeah, this is integrated dance, correct?
that totally is. Yep. Yes. Yeah, and I don't know if you recognize the woman standing on top of me with her leg and arm extended there.
I
That's
don't.
Marion who did the documentary with me.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic.
she sort of was, helped me continue leading Revolutions Dance maybe through its second phase after we had those beginning years with Amy and I, and then Marion came along, and that's when we created the documentary and met you and all that.
Awesome. That's a beautiful photo too. Where was this one taken? Do you remember?
This was taken at Hillsborough Community College.
I've been
Um,
there.
yeah, it was a great show. That was a show we did with. Yeah, I love seeing this picture not just because of how wonderful and beautiful the picture is and the photography by Jim Lennon, but that was a show we put together that Marion and I had this idea to get all the different dance companies from the Tampa Bay area, and we did all the fundraising. We produced this huge event, and it was really great. And we had different dancers from different companies working in different pieces. So uh, the woman in the chair and me and Marion are all from Revolutions Dance. The guy on the floor holding the chair is a really awesome guy named Brian. He was from a dance company called Moving Current, and then we had a dance company, Fusion, and like two other dance companies from the local area, and just we had different dancers from each company in different pieces. It was really a beautiful show. So I love that picture.
Yeah, no, it's powerful, man. This is fantastic stuff. Let's see what's next. Ooh, this is another really beautiful photograph, right? Like it could be
Yeah.
of anything, but look at the lighting and oh my goodness, it's just in the motion. Wow. Tell me a little bit about this one.
This is, uh, man, I hate choosing this one, but I have to say, everyone, this is one of my favorite pieces. This was simply because it was so fun. So this was also a collaboration with Fusion Dance in Sarasota. They're now Sarasota Contemporary Dance. And I met Lamis, the director, and she wanted to choreograph a piece, an all-male piece. So there's four of us. You can see Ben right behind my shoulder there. You can kind of see his face sticking out from behind the chair there. It
Right.
was four guys, and I had been like guest performer at their shows a few times, so I knew these guys, and they were the only men in the company too. And Lamis really wanted to put a men's piece together, and so we all got into the studio one day, and I think we pretty much by the end of the first day had the outline of the piece because it was like Lamis was just giving a task, and then things were emerging like, who could do what faster, harder, better, who could jump higher, who could go over here faster. Some competition emerged from us. We were busting each other's chops a little bit, teasing each other. Lamis was giving us some choreography. And if you were to see the whole piece, it's I can maybe provide a YouTube link. That piece is really, it's physical. I'm in and out of the chair. Guys are jumping. We were just pals, man. And the whole piece is just about male camaraderie and brotherhood and busting with each other, but also helping each other get through moments, man. So Yeah, it was great, man. I love those guys, man. I love seeing this piece. I love seeing this picture.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I would love it if you are able to follow up with that YouTube link. I'll go ahead and post that after the fact so people can see that too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, easy.
Because
God, I just worked on it a couple of days ago. Actually, you know, I'm glad that came up. This was just submitted for a virtual dance festival during this time of, everyone trying to figure some things out. Really great woman, Erin Tunbridge in Colorado. She's putting together a virtual dance festival. So she had different dance companies submit videos, and she's going to make like a virtual dance concert online with these different pieces. And I submitted this piece, and she was really into it. So I will definitely get you the link for this.
please follow up. That'd be so good.
And I got to clarify on the date might coincide. I may be able to provide a link to the show
Oh wow.
if it doesn't happen before this is up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. This will just keep me informed, and even if you do want to send something um, at any point about that to share with folks, I'll be happy to move
Okay,
that
I'll do
through
it
the
then.
inner
I'll do it.
tubes. All right. Let's see what we got here. I really did love that photo when I saw it. And so this is really cool too, especially when we know that, normally you hang out in a chair. And so this is kind of a lot of vulnerability, and there's a lot going on in this picture. What are you feeling as you're looking at it?
Oh man, yeah, that was a piece choreographed by a choreographer in Miami, Karen Peterson. She has an inclusive dance company down there, um, and we collaborate a lot. She choreographed this piece, and it was me and Marion. And I had a real special relationship. Have a real special relationship with Marion. Um, Her and I working together. She did all but one of our overseas tours, and it was when I started collaborating with Marion is when really the heart of Revolutions dance, like up to there, I was just learning dance, and I'd been an athlete before that, so it was all about the physical and challenge and learning the technique, and it was all new, and I was learning so much of that. I was also growing at that time because from my spinal cord injury, my accident, I went from this football guy, and I was getting into the arts, and the arts were teaching me so much about humanity and
Hmm.
love and kindness and respect and appreciation and all that. And so was teaching preschool. And I think right around the time I started partnering with Marion on Revolutions Dance was right about around the time when that stuff started to emerge and actually come out into my art for the
That's
first time.
awesome.
And so that's what you're seeing right there. That's what you're seeing. A really
That's
special
amazing.
relationship with a guy who's just finding that in himself at that time, um, and a wonderful friend and woman who helped me find it, even though she might not know it. And that's what's happening right there. You see it right before your eyes. That's what's going on.
That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. All right. Who's that little rock star?
Yeah, she's so amazing. Yeah, but that picture's old. But yeah, I remember that's Riley. I was teaching preschool at the time, and there was a arts center in St. Petersburg, Florida. I was teaching at the Children's Museum, and they kind of knew that I was dancing and stuff, but they weren't they did like clay. What were the
Oh,
names?
Creative Clay, right?
Yeah, creative clay. Yeah, creative clay.
Yep.
And so they had this event, and Riley was going, but creative clay was more about pottery and stuff, and it was for adults. And they had known Riley's mother, and they wanted to put Riley in their annual show, and they didn't. I don't want to say they didn't know what to do with her. They were like, "What?" They were brainstorming like, "Where can she fit in the show?" Because they had all adults and everything. So they called me, and I worked with Riley and another little friend, a guy that little kid in a chair, same age as her at the same time, who was actually in my preschool class, and I choreographed a little duet for Riley, and
Oh,
yeah, and the other guy, and they performed it, and that's what's happening right there. I was just kind of, I mean, that was almost one of the inspirations for me to begin my dance class for kids with disabilities. I was teaching preschool, and then this happened, and then the next step was to begin teaching class for kids with disabilities.
Man, it's so wonderful that you're able to actually have photographic memories of those key moments.
Yeah, right.
I'm a little jealous. I might have some somewhere. I don't know. We'll see. But
Man,
but
I
yeah,
love.
no, that's fantastic, man. You gotta
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Oh, you know
Um,
what I did? I'll tell you a little something extra about this. It almost escaped
yeah.
me. I can't believe I don't have it. It breaks my heart. If anyone from Creative Clay is out there and they know where this thing is. So the other thing I did, that's right. So what I did to go along with her duets, there is a book by Bill T. Jones. For those of you who don't know, Bill T. Jones is a famous dancer and choreographer. Um, and he made a children's book. It's an older book. Maybe it came out in the 80s. And it's called When I Dance. And it's every page is white except for him in a dance pose. And it's, how does it go? Like, when I dance, um, I'm like the wind or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I did for this event, not only did I choreograph a duet, I made Riley. We made a book just like the Bill T. Jones book, but with Riley. And if you
Wow.
see you see that right there in the background, that's Sunken Gardens. So what we did was we put when I dance, I feel like a rock, and there was a big rock, and she made a rock pose, and she was in front of it. And the next page was like, when I dance, I feel like a tree or something. So she made a tree pose by a tree, and we kind of made this whole book, and we had it there at the show that night.
That's awesome. I bet her parents were just over the moon about this.
But yeah, yeah, they were
I,
for sure.
I bet. Oh my gosh. That's awesome, man. You're such a rock star.
Thanks, man.
All right. So here we go. Now this is a new stage. Is this from one of your travels or where's this one?
Oh man, I'll tell you, man, this might be one of the only times that I was starstruck. uh, yeah, this was in China, and that dancer right there is Lu Yan. Obviously, she uses a wheelchair as well, but she was. Let me tell you about her story. Yeah, we traveled to
Please.
China. Met. Well, what happened was I actually met Lu Yan here. So Lu Yan was like the prima ballerina of China, like the biggest ballet star in China during the time when they hosted the Olympics, 2008, was it? Something like that, when they hosted the Beijing Olympics.
Yep.
They
Or
had that
12 or
beautiful
something.
opening,
Yep.
that beautiful opening show. Well, she was supposed to perform there. And like I said, she was China's huge ballet star. Well, during rehearsal, she had fallen off the stage. Something was wrong with the stage, and she had fell and broke her back.
Oh God.
Yeah, and she was, but so obviously she didn't perform at the opening ceremonies, but she went on to heal, and she now teaches at the Beijing Academy of Dance, and she performs. And I worked with VSA, which is now Arts for All Florida, and we had an integrated dance festival, an international integrated dance festival that we produced with Mary Lynn Morris, who I work with, and we brought dancers from around the globe to come here from all different countries, and we brought Lu Yan. So she came here, and I met her. Then when I went to China, I called her up, and I was like, Lu Yan, I would love to dance with you, because we didn't really have like a dance together when she came here.
Okay.
We sort of danced separately this first time we met. But when I was in China, I called her. She came for the show. One of our dancers, Revolution's dancers, choreographed a duet for us, and we performed it. And I mean, look at her. Look at her. You could just see in her face. Like every time I looked at her, I was like, damn, I'm being outclassed right now. I gotta like step it up. Like and she's beautiful, and you should see her when she enters the room. And yeah, if you all want to look up someone who could just do some really brilliant stuff with just like her face and her arms and her hands, maybe I can get you a YouTube link of her dancing as well.
That,
Gorgeous, beautiful. Yeah, that was in China. I hope
that's
I'm not going on
awesome.
too long with my descriptions, man.
No, you're great. I mean, honestly, this is an independent kind of a situation. So we're not, we're not forced in any boxes about time slots or anything. We're just gonna go and find the coolest stuff that we can share with people because that's what this is about. And I appreciate you. Man, that's awesome, dude. She does.
You can see
She's got the presence, dude. It's just like, oh
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Don't forget your name. Like, who am I? Where am I? What's going on?
For
That's
sure.
awesome. She does. Look at her. That's
Right?
intense. Yeah, I see it. That's awesome. But very kind too, right? Like,
Oh, incredibly kind.
yeah,
Went on to start a lot of opportunities for kids in China with disabilities.
that's
Oh
awesome.
man,
Speaking of kids,
man, these people are some of the nearest and dearest people to my heart ever, 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 ever. Um, so I say that like everybody that comes up. I just love everybody I've worked with. I've been so lucky, so fortunate. I'm so grateful to work with some just beautiful souls and hearts. And I'm just a knucklehead watching football, delivering UPS packages,
just
man.
just a wing eating buffalo punk.
It's amazing. Um, so this was Palestine. This was my first ever international trip. I'm going to tell you about these people and the trip, and then I'll tell you a
Yes.
little funny story how it came about. Um, well, I'm just going to start there and tell you this story.
Good.
So, by the way, the woman on my left shoulder there pointing her finger with the glasses, that's the woman from Sarasota who choreographed the all men's piece that we saw earlier. So this was my first international gig. Um,
Awesome.
and it's kind of funny how it came about. It was in Palestine, and one day rehearsing whatever I was doing, maybe I was filming Life After Life, the documentary. I just know I got home, and sometimes I get home and I get in my car, and everybody has those driveway moments when you just listen to the radio or whatever, leaving or getting home, and you just take a moment. And for me, it happens a lot if I have a long day of rehearsal and I have to unload my wheelchair. It's kind of a pain. I just sit there and I think like, oh, man, I don't feel like doing that right now. So I remember this moment, and it was kind of great. I'm sitting there, and I get a phone call. So I answer the phone. I answer my cell phone, and this woman gets on there, and she says, "Hey, Dwayne, I know you might not remember me, but my name is Tara, and um, like 4 years ago, you came and did a guest teaching at a class that I was taking at USF. I was a student at USF, and you came in and did some stuff with us. And so this thing has come up, and I just want to ask you about it." And I was like, "Oh, okay,." "I remember the class. I've been there. And she said, "So I dance with a company now in DC, and we were just in Palestine. And the place we were working with, the community center that we were dancing and performing at, the guy there asked my director of my company if he knew any disabled dancers." And so the director didn't know anybody, and he started asking us dancers, and she's telling me this story. And she says, "You know what? I know this guy. He came in, visited a class I was in like 4 years ago. I'll see if I can reach out to him." And she said, "And so I called you. And I'm just wondering if you would be interested in doing a project in Palestine."
Wow.
And I was like, "Sure, yeah, I would love to do a project in Palestine." She said, "Okay, well, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to give your number to my artistic director, and he's going to give you a call." So I said, "Okay, great." So I just waited. Then the artistic director, he called me, and he said, "Yeah, I have this opportunity for you to go to Palestine. They're looking for a disabled dancer. It's a community center." That's what you see behind us in Ramallah, Palestine. And they're looking for someone to come in for like, we were just over 2 weeks, I think. We were there for a long time.
Wow.
And teach the dance teachers there how to work with disabled dancers, disabled students. "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to go." And he said, "Well, there's this one thing. You got to be ready to leave in 2 weeks." And I was like, "Go to Palestine in 2 weeks? Okay, sure, let's do it." And I remember that 2 weeks leading up, everybody was like, "Oh, you shouldn't go there. There's this and that." Man, none of it was true. Nobody knew what they were talking about. So at the time, Marion couldn't go because it was short notice. She had something going on. So I called Lena. Lena said, "Yeah, I'll go do it with you." So we go to Palestine, and we're in Palestine, and we start working with this group here. And it was really great. It was at this community center. And kind of the wonky thing that ended up happening was all of their dance teachers are college students. And it was also just happened to be at summer break. I don't think the director of the community center really thought about this, or I think what happened was grant money was beginning to run out. That's why they said you got to be there in 2 weeks.
Right.
And all the teachers, most of the teachers, a few of them stayed, but took off because they all had summer plans, and they go do stuff in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked with this, and but the one guy in the middle with the yellow shirt that's really sticking his arm out, he stayed there. He was one of the dance teachers, and these dancers, all these kids, they don't necessarily go to the community center. They brought them in to work with us, for us to work with them, and all those kids are deaf.
Oh, wow.
All those kids are deaf Palestinians. Yes, and it was really kind of an incredible experience. I was speaking English. The guy in the center with the yellow shirt was translating into Arabic to their sign language interpreter, who was then interpreting it, changing it into sign language, Arabic sign language. So that process was a little wonky. And after, I don't know, somewhere around the second day, I was like, just stop. I said, I'll just let you know when I need you. And we had such a good bond with these kids, man. And I loved working with them. And we really didn't know what was going to happen, what we were going to do. And I ended up creating. So there's this thing we always do. This was the first time we did it too. There's this thing we always do when we go overseas now. When we go anywhere. So if anybody out there wants this project in your community, listen to this, and you're going to want us to come. So let me know. Yeah. So we invited anyone from the community. We had some dancers there. We had these deaf kids. We had 2 people who use wheelchairs. They're not in this picture. They came, and some other people from the community. And we had a long time there, longer than usual. For like 8 days, we just choreographed. There were some physical therapists there. There were some school teachers. And we choreographed like 2 dance pieces that the whole community was in. And we performed it at the big theater. And then I performed a solo, and I performed a duet with another one of the dancers there. And me and the guy in the middle, we performed the duet. And we had this big event. And so much time there, and we went all around Palestine and met beautiful, beautiful people, ate wonderful food, had this big show. The mayor came, gave us a big award on stage in front of everybody in Ramallah. And we also made a little documentary about the whole experience. It's like a 5-minute documentary that's on YouTube too. I can send you that link. And we really kind of documented. All this just emerged. None of this was the plan. I was just to go there to work with these teachers, like I said, but then they all took off. So Lamus and I just started turning our wheels quickly. You know how it goes when you're an artist. You're like, let's figure this thing out.
Right.
So we just started making up this program, and we made it. And we also made this documentary about how inaccessible, because actually the 2 people who use wheelchairs were really interested in this. So we made a documentary about how inaccessible Palestine is. And we showed that documentary at the performance as well. It was a really great experience, but also at that time, what really exposed the heart of these Palestinian people there for me was, and I'm just going to be respectful about the situation because I understand it's tricky. But what had happened, this was, if you remember, in the summer of 2014, 2 Israeli boys were found dead in Palestine. And there was a search going on. And then Israel, because they occupy Palestine, which was really a strange experience for me to be there. There were days like when they shut the whole city down, like
wow.
Maybe 2 or 3 of our days, nobody came because they weren't allowed to go out or everything was shut down. Couple nights Israel raided the city. I'm just saying that's what happened. I'm not saying who's right or wrong, but Israel raided the city trying to find out who killed the 2 Israeli kids.
Right.
Couple people got shot during those raids, couple Palestinians. But I do know the Palestinian people, they struggle. I for whatever it's worth, I can't say this story without saying that my heart feels for them because, traveling through Palestine, we went to someone's grandmother's house and we had to go through an Israeli checkpoint in Palestine. Like, what would I do if I had to go through a Canadian checkpoint to go see my grandmother in my own country? Like, it was just so tough to do that. And
just wrap your head around it, right?
Yeah. And these kids here, that's all they know. I mean, there were some adults, they didn't know that their whole life, but these kids, that's all they know is walls and fences and guns and they were still so loving and kind. And then the day we were leaving, was when some bombs started flying, like between the two, and war broke out the summer of 2014.
Wow. How were you able to get out?
Well, it was we fly in and out of Israel. If you're American, you could just go through the checkpoints or the border. So we were flying out of Tel Aviv. So that's, I mean, it's when those wars happen. From my experience being in there, um, I mean, I understand what happens when some of the most extreme forces that are angry with Israel are able to reach someone in Israel and do some damage. But for the most part, the little bombs that Palestine sent you, man, I'm really trying to be sensitive. I don't.
You're doing great.
We were safe in Tel Aviv. Let me say that we were flying out of Tel Aviv, and Tel Aviv was safe. It's
Right.
there, and that was the deal. Yeah, so I'm not taking sides. I was with these people and these kids, and to see them living in that environment, which they're just kids, man. They're just kids, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was an experience I'll never forget. In fact, Quince, it's so funny you bring this up, and it's so funny you show that other picture. I don't know, funny, coincidental, ironic, whatever. We were supposed to go back there. They invited us back this June. We were supposed to be back this June, but because of this month,
Quarantine.
but because of everything going on, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, that's that. That's
Well,
that.
you're gonna get back there when the time is right, and they are gonna welcome you with open arms, I'm sure.
I'm going back, no
Yeah,
doubt.
I bet, man.